Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday evening experience. I'm Reverend Laura from the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas, and what a pleasure it is to be back here again. Tonight I'm talking about one of my favorite spiritual practices, the practice of forgiveness, and how using the practice of forgiveness can help us build a greater experience of unity in our lives. You know, forgiveness is a timeless and transformative concept that has the potential to mend divisions, to heal old wounds, and to bring about a sense of that shared unity, that experience of unity in our lives and in the communities around us. Tonight we're going to dive into the wisdom of various spiritual traditions and draw on their teachings and practices to help illuminate this path of forgiveness. You know, whether you're seeking personal healing or aiming to mend a fractured relationship, or simply just curious about the spiritual aspects of forgiveness, tonight is a place for reflection and growth. Tonight is an exploration of forgiveness as a spiritual practice. I hope you let it guide you towards your inner feeling of unity and peace that this journey in life has to provide for you. Forgiveness, inner peace, and unity, they're all intertwined. They're intertwined concepts that hold profound significance in fostering healthy relationships, in enabling our own personal growth, and bringing about a greater sense of harmony in our societies. You know, at their core, these elements are intrinsically linked, and understanding their concepts can help us illuminate a path towards a more harmonious existence. Forgiveness is often seen as a virtue. It's an act of letting go of resentment, anger, or the desire for revenge towards someone who has wronged us. It is a powerful catalyst for inner peace, as it frees us from the emotional burdens of the grudges and the resentments and the feelings of wrongdoing that we've held on to. Really, forgiveness is about letting go of those things that still have a hook in you, that still have some attachment to you. I remember early on in my training, one of my teachers said to me that you know you've forgiven when when that person can pass through your mind and you no longer have a pull against you. You don't feel that hook being pulled. The process of forgiveness is not only an act of kindness towards others, but more importantly, it is a gift that we give ourselves, as it greatly contributes to our emotional well-being. Again, when we no longer have that hook inside of us, that we are feeling tugged every time we think about the incident or that person, or we have an encounter that reminds us of it, then we get to a place of more balance in our lives, more equanimity, more feeling content. We have a greater sense of inner peace in our lives. You know, this inner peace is a state of calm and tranquility that arises when we are in harmony with our thoughts, our emotions, and surroundings, when everything feels easy and balanced. It is the process of self-acceptance and mindfulness and bringing that sense of emotional balance into our lives that gives us that sense of inner peace. And forgiveness plays a pivotal role in achieving inner peace by allowing us to resolve those inner conflicts and find closure in the situation. When we let go of the grudges, the resentments, we create a room for positive emotions and for self-compassion to flourish. And again, this all leads us to a deeper sense of inner peace in our lives. Sorry, I have a fly in here. The connection between forgiveness and unity is evident in their ability to mend fractured relationships and build bridges between individuals and community. So forgiveness promotes that sense of reconciliation, of healing, which is essential to having the experience of unity. When we forgive, we acknowledge our shared humanity and the imperfections that are inherent in all of us. When we forgive, we know that this is also something we could have possibly done at some point in our lives, or something similar to that. And it allows us to have a place of compassion, of a sense of I'm not as perfect as I thought I was too, that exists within each one of us, that allows us to have a place of healing. As long as we hold on to these ideas of victimhood, that this is something that's happened to me and this person is completely wrong because they did it, then we can never get to a place of forgiveness around it, and it still holds on to us. that all of that energy that is stored up around this sense of wrongness that has happened to us is a powerful force in our lives. And often we find it as a guiding and directing force, taking us to places we don't really want to go. But when we begin to forgive, we can foster empathy, understanding, and a willingness to let this stuff go. When we look at this on a broader societal level, the interplay of forgiveness, inner peace, and unity can lead us to a more harmonious world. When individuals and communities prioritize forgiveness as a means to resolve conflicts and seek inner peace, then they contribute to the collective goal of unity and global harmony. I mean, how often do we hold on to grudges from what some other country did? We just recently celebrated 9/11, the anniversary of that horrific time in our country's history. And I couldn't help but think how many people are still holding on to a grudge about what happened. Nothing about forgiveness says that we have to make this okay or right. But how much of it is about letting go of the pull that it has on us and opening ourselves up to a place where we can release that energy that has been stored up in us for so long. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. We can forgive someone and not ever have them in our lives again, and that's perfectly fine too. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. Forgetting is about them. Forgetting is about saying, okay, well, whatever happened, that happened, and I'm not even going to mess with it because, I'm just going to forget it and not deal with it. Unfortunately, there's still some of that energy of the wrongness of it stuck inside of us, and we have to begin to let that out. Because as long as we are holding on to anything that has got that tug on us, that pull on us, its hook in us, then we can never get to a place where we think of somebody else as one with us. We can never get to a place of unity. And we can never get to a place of inner peace because we are stirred up about this. And so as we begin to foster this sense of forgiveness and develop more inner peace and understand the unity of all of the interconnected aspects of this human experience, we have the potential to transform not only ourselves, but the society around us. Again, forgiveness liberates us from the shackles of resentment. It grows that inner peace within us, and it paves the way to the experience of unity. All of these things help lead to a more harmonious relationships between ourselves and others, and of course, bring about a sense of a more peaceful world. So how do we actually begin to do this? Joe, I'm going to stop here for a moment. Okay. Well, I didn't stop, apparently. I had somebody bugging me, so I'm going to get her settled here. Okay, settle down. There we go. Sorry, Joe. That's a damn fly. Okay. Cultivating forgiveness in our own life can be a transformative journey that leads to emotional healing and personal growth. And here are some of the practical ways I've found to develop more forgiveness in my life. One is to be self-reflective, to start to look at what my feelings are around this stuff. What are the emotions that are being triggered here? Understand why that I'm holding on to resentment and anger. Sometimes we know there's some resentment and anger there, but we can't even identify the specific incident or the person that we need to forgive here. Sorry, my baby is wanting attention right now. All right, settle down. Let me get her down, Joe. Stop. You have to behave. I know there's a fly in here. Sorry about that, Joe. I'm going to start again with self-reflection. So self-reflection is one of the first things that we can begin to do to get to a place of forgiveness. If we're not even sure what's going on inside of us, then it's hard to identify what we need to forgive. So we start by reflecting on our feelings and the emotions that are being triggered within us. Try to understand why that we're holding on to resentment and anger. Really identify the specific incident or the person that we need to forgive. Sometimes it's just such a broad thing that we know there's something in there to forgive, but we can't quite identify it. Self-awareness is the first step towards forgiveness. The next thing that we can begin to do is to experience empathy around the situation. Try to see the situation from the perspective of the person who wronged you. Understanding what their motives are, what struggles they may be going through, what emotions they have, can humanize them in a way that makes it easier for us to forgive. The next thing that we can do is to begin to practice acceptance around this. Accept that all people make mistakes, including ourselves. No one's perfect and we all have flaws. Acknowledge that forgiveness is a gift that you give to yourself, and it will make it easier for you to forgive the other person, because oftentimes these resentments that we hold on to, we don't even want to let the person off the hook for it. We want to, hold on to that anger and that judgment and everything that's built up around it because it was such a profound experience in our lives. But accepting that everyone makes mistakes, that everyone is flawed, is a good practice to get us to that place where we can actually begin to forgive. Another thing that we can do is to write down, journal about this stuff. Journal about how you are feeling, what thoughts are going on in the situation. It can be such a therapeutic way to process your emotions and gain clarity about what you need to forgive. One of my favorite ways to journal about situations with others is called dialogue journaling. And in dialogue journaling, I sit down and I write stream of consciousness. I ask a question. Why did you do this to me? And then I allow that other person to answer in my mind. And I write down what comes through. And then I can ask a follow-up question or make a follow-up comment. And the person will respond to that. And so you just keep doing this back and forth until you feel a sense of clarity around the situation, or you feel a little bit more peace. Something has happened as you've done this. Now, this is just you dialoguing with your subconscious. But you are putting yourself in the place of that person, which gives you a little bit of empathy, a little bit of acceptance that everyone makes mistakes and that we all are in this process together. And so journaling it out and getting clear about what it is you're really feeling there can help you get through that process. Another thing that's so important is to tell the story. Find a trusted friend or even a therapist, or in our Centers for Spiritual Living, we have wonderful practitioners who are there to listen to you and to know the truth of the situation for you when you can't know it for yourself. So talk to someone, tell the story. An untold story is something that festers inside of us. And so it's important that we begin to tell the story so that we can move through the process of forgiveness. Practice mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is about staying fully present and fully aware in the moment of what's going on inside of you without having any reaction towards it. So it's being present, it's being aware, and it's practicing equanimity, that sense of non-reactiveness to what's going on. Mindfulness meditation can help you stay present and stop ruminating on those past hurts. When the past hurts come up, you say, no, I'm here in the present moment. Instead of getting sucked into the story and allowing the story to grow inside of you, practicing mindfulness can help you stay in the fully present moment. And it allows you to observe the emotions that are going on inside of you without judging them. And when you can do that, you can gradually begin to release them. Another thing that I think our society could really use a lot of lessons on is setting boundaries. If a person has wronged you and they continue to be in your life, then it's time to set boundaries with them. It's essential to have healthy boundaries to protect yourself, especially while you're working on this sense of forgiveness. Don't let it happen to you again. Set up the boundaries. Set it up in advance. Have things that you are going to say to the person in advance, already in your mind, so that when the situation happens, you can fall right back onto that instead of having to think on your feet in the moment. do a little bit of journaling about what you can say to that person if they come into your experience again. If they start to do what they've done before, then go ahead and have those boundary setting phrases that you can use and pull right out of your hat in a moment's notice and use them to establish the healthy boundary that you need to protect yourself as you work on this forgiveness. The other thing we can do is to seek closure in the situation. Oftentimes we have a difficult situation with someone and we never speak to them again. Sometimes we need to have closure by communicating with that person, and that can be very healing. Sometimes it's dangerous to connect with that person again, and so you want to do that in a way that allows you to still feel safe. So email, texting, things like that. However, you don't want to do anything that might trigger this person, especially if they're volatile. And so sometimes it's just telling the story to somebody else, telling that other person, let that other person be the surrogate for the person that you need closure with, and tell them and allow that to be, knowing that you're never going to have this person in your experience again, but you need to still have that sense of closure. We don't need any further harm or distress in our lives. And of course, things like affirmations are always powerful. Repeating phrases like, I choose to forgive so-and-so for this situation can really begin to help our mindset. Now, sometimes we have these affirmations that we say, and when we say them, we're like, yeah, no, I'm not ready. I'm not choosing to forgive right now at all. One of the people I love to study is Joel Goldsmith, and he has a fabulous thing in there. He calls Spirit Father, so he says it this way. He says, Father, forgive these people for me. I can't do it for myself yet, but I know you can, so I'm turning it over to you for you to forgive them for me until I can get to a place where I can forgive for myself. Powerful. If you can't get to the place where you're doing it, reach out to Spirit and say, I know you've got this. I'm going to let you forgive them right now because I can't do it yet. But notice how you have put that in motion. You have taken that one step forward to that process of forgiveness. You know this forgiveness is needed here. You're not in a place to be able to do it, but Spirit's got this. So let Spirit take care of it. Practice forgiveness gradually. Forgiveness may not happen overnight. It is a process that may take lots of time. There are thousands of different ways that you can do forgiveness. Great books on it. My favorite book on forgiveness is called The Book of Forgiving by Desmond Tutu. Fabulous ritual in there. And again, it's one of those things where you often have to do it over and over again to get that place. Maybe you can forgive to a certain little bit where you've just begun to scratch the surface of it. And then you have to do it again to get a little deeper, to really make that mark deep into there. And sometimes it's dozens of times of doing this. Another technique that I used for my own forgiveness work was called the loving kindness meditation. It's a Buddhist technique. They call it metta, M-E-T-T-A. And metta is loving kindness. It's about not holding on to resentment and wishing only the best for people. So for me, it was, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. That's what I did whenever the person or the situation came to my mind. I did that until I could get to the place where I could say, may you be filled with loving kindness, thinking of this person. May you be well. Maybe you be happy and at ease. No, maybe you be peaceful and at ease, and may you be happy. There we go. I used a song written by Karen Drucker as my go-to. I would sing the song over and over again every time the situation came up. It took a long time for me to move from may I to may you. And once I got to may you, then things started to really be releasing. And so practicing forgiveness in lots of different ways can help you throughout your time. While you're doing forgiveness, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Engage in self-care activities that promote your emotional well-being. Things like exercise, meditation, all kinds of meditations. Hobbies, that's me. I love to do crafts. When I'm in a messed up state in my mind, I go into my craft room and I will spend a lot of time in there creating, because creativity allows me to get a place of deeper connection, a feeling of sense of unity where I am letting Spirit flow through me, through my hands and through my ideas and things that are coming forth. And not only that, I get something beautiful out of it when I'm done. If you can't forgive the person to their face, and you don't necessarily need to, but if you were feeling like maybe you needed to do that and you're not able to, maybe the person is no longer here on this plane of existence, and they've passed away. Maybe the person, it's too dangerous for you to be around them, or you're just still too angry to do that. Try to release the resentment that you hold symbolically. Write a forgiveness letter. You don't have to send it. You can burn it afterwards even. Writing a forgiveness letter is powerful. It can actually begin to clear away that stuff, and it lets you, again, tell the story and have a place for your emotions to be heard. You can write all of your resentments, all of your anger, all of everything on a piece of paper and burn it. That's a great one. Find a way to create a ritual around forgiveness that signifies letting go. In the Book of Forgiving, as I said, they have a wonderful ritual. It's called the Fourfold Path of Forgiveness. And in one of those steps, you tell your story to a stone, and then you let that stone go, or you transform it. And so something really significant about letting that go. And I think one of the things that is often the most powerful, but often overlooked in the idea of forgiveness, is forgiving yourself. I think we hold on to the resentment that we have about things that we have done, the shame that it builds in us when we feel like we haven't been perfect. Perfectionism is a byproduct of shame. And so when we feel like we should have been perfect, then what gets triggered in us is shame. And so it's so important to forgive ourselves, to get to ourselves a place of understanding that, everybody has things in their lives that happen. Just like we were talking about before, about noticing our, how we're all of our commonalities. Self-forgiveness allows us that place to forgive for ourselves, and that is one of the most important things. And another thing that we can do is acknowledge the progress that we've made. Celebrate it. When you've taken steps towards forgiveness and you want to celebrate it, do something that makes it powerful. Buy yourself a plant and just say, this is my plant of forgiveness. I knew that I forgave, and so I have this beautiful representation of the power of forgiveness in my life. And it sits on my table all of the time. So, as we are moving through this process of forgiveness, there are just so many ways that you can do that. But it's a personal process. It's not anything that I can tell you that this is the best way to do it. And it doesn't mean reconciling or condoning what has happened. Things are wrong, and people need to understand that. But it's all about letting go of the emotional burden that whatever that resentment has and has had its hook in you for so long, and finding a place of inner peace within yourself. Be patient and compassionate towards yourself as you work towards cultivating the process of forgiveness in your life. Have a beautiful and blessed week, everyone, and we will see you again next week on our Wednesday evening experience. Bye-bye.